Crisis, Crix6, Zry, X, however the case. If you're new here, hi, thanks for being around. Subscribe to me if you like, give it a like and all of that, I really do appreciate it. It helps my traction. If you're not new here and you're back, I really appreciate you being around, right? Thanks for listening, all of you, whoever you are, you know? But I've been wanting to talk about some stuff for a while. I'll put the music up just to have a chill time just before anybody comes up. And hey, good to see you too, cool gamer. I'm thinking of what to put on. I've been watching a lot of different stuff today, and I had a lot of stuff to do today, but I had a lot of opinions of what I'd seen, and I want to talk about it. So let me see. Background music. Bob's Burgers is playing right now. It's actually one of my favorites. Let's see. I'm gonna go with Future Pop since I haven't done that in a minute. It's good to see you too, by the way. I don't know if I said that. How you been? Hey, Fatal. Oh. Let's see. I'm gonna put earphones on so I don't know if it's pretty bad or not terrible or nothing. But it's probably chill. Dun, 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 dun. Every time I say that I'm near your face. This is pretty hype. I really wanna actually see someone break dance to this. I'm not the biggest dancer though. What? Dancing is fun. Da 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 la da 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 da. Can't you see that everybody's got something that makes them themselves? You're the only you that you could ever be. I swear you think that it's something that's so tragic, but every day that I see that you're you, I swear it's pretty beautiful. I tell you, I think that you don't know yourself. I tell you, I think me breakdance, no. That you don't see how it is. How many people love you? How many people wanna see you? How many people think of you when you're not there? Don't you think that it's just a little kind of cruel to yourself to think that you can't be someone who's important? I swear it's always been unsure, not trying to be a bore. Every day I say I need you to understand the future of the way of human, of sentience. It seems like we don't understand. I'm tired of the games, tired of the way that people say they can treat us so bad, treat us so sad, be so mad. Doesn't have to, I swear it doesn't. Oh, do you hear the way I fear? The times we are and we say we're near. It seems to me that you can't see how important you are for this way to be. Every day we walk around trying to find our own sound. Every day we try to tell you what goes on, and by I said to God I didn't think you knew what was wrong. 1 in 8 billion is still just you, the only you in this universe, don't you see? And even if there were other yous in other universes too, oh, don't you see that it's not just me, it's you, it's everyone too. Every day that we say we understand our own days, every day I wanna be another person who can see the way that you can breathe, see the way that we can see. Every day that you feel me, I just want you to know you're something special, just being you. Even if there were other universes of you, you're still the only one in this one, and no one's gonna be exactly you. Oh, that's a cool change up, eh? Dun 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 dun, la da 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 da. Da da da, la da 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 da, la da da. It seems something else, I swear to God I didn't mean to be someone else, I swear it seems to me. Every time that we try to understand, if we talked, I think it could be better, man. What do you think? I swear I didn't know what to say to you. The timing of it all. Every day, every light, every time frame, I swear I didn't mean. I swear I didn't see. Every day we go, I didn't know. Whoa. Every time we try to be another person by the sea. Don't you think about how the wind goes through your hair? The way life is. I just don't think it has to not be fair. I think it can be great. I think we can be something more. Doesn't have to be so fucking sore. Every day we try, we wanna know what it's like, but my way back now, I say I knew what you wanna do. Every time that you had a fucking run, I just don't know who be. I don't know what to see. It's almost 10 minutes. I'll start talking. What do you think? What would you say if you were me and I was you? Oh, what would you think if I talked about you like you do about yourself? Don't you see? Please look in all the mirrors, realize you're still what you are. Da, da da da. You're just yourself, me, myself, and I. I'm telling you why. Stop being so hard on yourself. Try to understand what's hell. Never meant for it to be this so much. It seems like in everything I'm telling you, I mean no harm. I just wanna be better for you, better for me. I want to live a genuine life, don't you see? Da 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 da. Alright. Da 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 da. Alright, so I was wanting to talk about Drake first. It's gonna be kind of quick, you know, just because I have, like, I'm gonna explain, but I'm gonna try and, like, maybe turn this down some more. Let me see. Is this, like, a good volume for you all? I should have asked that earlier. Hey. It should be. I think so. If I make sure to turn it down a bit. So it ain't big on me. But I was thinking about how with Drake and all, right? It really pisses me off because I was thinking about watching that Shazam movie. And I saw that they put "Started from the Bottom" by Drake on it, like in like the trailer. And it really pissed me off because I'm like, y'all are really gonna use like lyrics, a song from someone who's a known predator, right? Y'all are gonna since this is, I'm talking about Drake's like habits and behaviors. This is not a stream for people younger than 18, or like make sure that you can avoid these triggers. I'll make sure to put timestamps for when I talk about stuff. I have to go back over it after, but it'll be up, you know. But yeah, so alright, cool, thanks. And it's like I've been thinking about how I hear this song in a trailer for something that is catered to children and teenagers, right? We all know comic books and stuff is gonna go for the kids, you know? That's just how it is, like, right? But this dude is a whole creep. He is known to message minors. He has said he doesn't care if he's making out with a minor on screen. He was part of the Astroworld tragedy and added on to it when he could have at least stopped the show or something. And then he, like, the next day just spent millions of dollars to gamble, then actually put it into, like, all the people that were hurt and the people that were killed, right? And then this guy goes around talking shit, mainly on black women, but anyone he fucking wants to. All of his music is just thrown together nonsense that sounds like the same fucking song all the fucking time, and people don't even really talk about him unless he's talking shit on somebody. I don't get how people genuinely think of that as success, but it's just bullshit. And then he also has these illusions to making hits out on XXXTentacion. That's fucked up. There is no redeeming qualities for any of that, in my honest personal opinion. And I'm so sick of him being sold to me, of hearing him unwilling, like, it's literally against my will whenever I see any content of his. I never, like, even want to search for it because he's so big and whatever. But it's also the thing that really fucks with me about, like, Started from the Bottom, whatever. He made that song, but his family's always been rich. And he started on Degrassi. a major multi-platform television show. He's from like a nepotist like filmmaking, like all that stuff kind of thing too. Like I don't fuck with this fake shit, to be fucking honest with you. Like I think it really bothers me how people, they would rather enable fucking creeps and abusers instead of like finding genuine people who actually make decent fucking music, right? Decent fucking things. Yeah, Drake. That guy, who's like major music guy or whatever. I actually have a playlist. I'm gonna link it in the description, after I'm done talking. Or not after I'm done talking, that would be, I don't want to deal with like extra stuff until like after I'm done with the stream or whatever. But I have a playlist called the Drake Aubrey Graham Archives, and it's like about 100 something like that videos of like all of the depravity I've seen and found across some years, because I'm tired of the fucking bullshit. It's disgusting, and I'm sick of enablers, and it says a lot about a movie catered to kids using a fucking Predator's fucking sound. I fucking hate it. Like, I truly fucking hate it. Yeah. He's a fucking stain on society, all of these people that enable this nonsense. It pisses me off, because it's like, why can't we have genuine integrity, you know? Why can't we, like, why do we have to enable terrible people all the fucking time across media? I know it's like, that's what they want. They want you to keep enabling this. They want us to keep us divided, to keep this nonsense going. But it's just not fucking worth it, and it's never been fucking worth it, in my opinion. And I'm so disappointed in, like, with Marvel, they try and act like they're so, like, progressive compared to others, and maybe they are more progressive compared to others, but they're not progressive enough in the current year. They're not. They're still using this kind of shit. They're still using propaganda on a whole bunch of fuck shit. And it's like, I'm really sick and tired of trash being sold to me. I mean it so much. You know? It's like, why? And then this whole thing is just so fucked and nonsense, because he has this. But yeah, so if you check the playlist, you'll see all the things I found and what I know of his nonsense. Little nonsense. But like, yeah. And I just wanted to get that out for the first bit, so y'all knew like that, because that's just, I needed to say that, and I'm tired of it, and I don't want to enable it, and I think that we can do so much better as a society, and we don't deserve trash for consumption. He throws together shit all the time. Why do we keep doing that? You know? Yeah. A lot of them are. And it's like, the thing is, it's like a lot of them are, because a lot of them have money to dump into it, and they all want to be in a little group together until one of them gets called out or whatever, and even then some people don't say shit. And it fucks with me. And also, I'm gonna mention that Elvis movie. They are fucked. And it's annoying as hell how people are like, why didn't Green win a Grammy? Why didn't they say Elvis is a whole fucking predator, huh? Ugh. It's nonsense. You know? It's just a whole bunch of hushed bullshit, because people would rather have their mediocrity versus genuine media. You know, they don't even want to look up shit themselves. But, I mean, when you're fed lies all the time across your life, what do you expect from people? You know? But that's what they want. And I wish that people using the internet would, instead of, like, talking on mess they don't know about, they could use the internet to genuinely look up things, right? They could press of a button, at least search for things to make actual deductions versus just always inherently being, like, the things that I want to enable are right. Just because I don't want to do any self-reflection on what I enable as a consumer. It's so bullshit and honestly cowardly as hell to me. Because I'm like, you really don't even want to hold responsibility for the fact that what you do matters and has an effect across things. You know, it's like, it just says a lot, in my opinion. But yeah, so I've been watching a bunch of different media lately. And it was pretty chill, what I've been thinking about. Because it's like I was watching like a lot of Hank Hill lately, and Scooby-Doo, who Guess Who things, you know, and they have like people that are just coming on to the show, like random celebrities. Like it was like Wanda Sykes and Wonder Woman for like 2 of them that I watched. It was funny, and I like stuff like that. I like things that actually feel like a conversation, or like they actually genuinely put thought into it. Because I can go into like how, like, honestly, I fucking love Monster High. I love The Loud House. I love like Hank Hill, because they actually have characters and fleshed out stories. Oh, also Bob's Burgers. That's lit as hell. It's fucking wild. You know, like, I was watching these episodes of Hank Hill. I guess I'm gonna specifically talk about them first, just because I do have Hank Hill in the title. So it's like with Hank, it was interesting because I was looking at 3 different episodes. I don't really remember the name of the first one, but it was interesting because it was like Peggy, Ming, and the one with like the blonde hair that's with Dale. I kind of forgot her name because they don't mention her that much. You know, she's the one that always calls everyone Suge and stuff. They were having a thing about being well, it was basically like it starts where they're going from the mall and they do they see their sons, like Suge sees her son and then Peggy sees Bobby, and they're just crashing like carts with each other in the parking lot, and they're like, what the fuck, right? And it was understandably like, you know, what the hell. And then they went up to them, and then they told them that, yeah, the after school program got cancelled because of like funding or whatever, and they got really mad about it and wanted to make a change. Then it was like they were trying to figure out who would run for the main person to change these things, right? But then they kind of ended up being like, they ended up competing against each other, and I think that said a lot about how people, like, they go in for one thing, but then they end up having their egos kind of control their perspectives, you know? They end up competing with each other versus, like, really working together to make a genuine team, because they all had really good resources, but separated, they didn't do as much as they could have. You know what I mean? Yeah, the hot reporter lady. I like Hank Hill, like, for real. And it's like they did this, but then they ended up not really winning at the end of the day with it. And then they were like, you know, Peggy kind of got like a lot over it because she was trying to like vote or whatever, but then they ended up like really fighting. It was kind of sad because I was like, dang, it went like that. But then they ended up like not winning, and they went home, and then they were talking about, you know, maybe we can be the after school program, right? And we can take our kids to do things that will help educate them since our schools won't, you know? And they were like, maybe we can go to a museum, or maybe we can go to a zoo that's like animals and a museum. and then they were like, yeah, let's do it. And then they all like went their separate ways, and I thought that was like really cool, but it's still really sad because it's like people treated how they cared about this after school special as if it was so boring or not worth the time of talking. And I think people really need to talk about what we need to do as a society to really bring forth education towards our people, like our kids, our children, teenagers, adults, just everybody. Education is so important, and it is at the tip of our fingers, but it's also like not as accessible because not everybody has internet, not everybody has computers, not everybody even has libraries, right? And then so many schools are shutting down the after school stuff, and a lot of the time it is a lot of like money, or it's a lot of like not enough people, especially with everything going on. And it really is just, we could do so much better, But the fact that was an episode on Hank Hill and it made me think that in depth about it, right? Like I just love how it does that. Like you really feel like people in this show, And yeah, because not all families have resources to do after school things like that, cars and such. Exactly. And it's like, God, it doesn't even have to be like that, but it's also like because of public transportation not being widely accessible, like genuine universal transportation for people too, genuine universal education and health. Some people are so sick they can't even go to things. Some people are so like not even able to have access to like be able to go to the good schools that they can genuinely have education instead of being lied to, even though a lot of schools do lie, like across the curriculums. It's fucked and sad, and so many people are so ignorant, whether it's taught or like sheer willfulness. It's just, it doesn't, and it never had to be like that in my opinion. They'll drive buses to houses to hand out lunch through summer. That's really cool. Like our school system at least provides lunches to kids on days schools is closed. I love that, because there's also that whole thing with school lunches. Like, God, like it's so fucked. Because I really don't think that people need to suffer to try and like make sure they have like food on the table. It's just kind of like, how can anyone get by if they're not able to eat, have like all the things they need to survive, and like be clothed, fed, sheltered, all that? But they know that, and they want people to be disbanded and divided and fucked over because they don't really care about having a genuine society, and I'm tired and sad about it. Everything is built around cars, not people. Yeah. It's fucked. It's literally the hyperfixation and unwillingness of big moguls who wanted to have such a monopoly on transportation and use a resource that was forever dwindling so they could hike the prices up more than actually like trying to have genuine transportation. Like a lot less crashes would be happening if more people were able to like use a bus or a train, But then there's also that stuff that happened in Ohio where they did a derailment and they just like fucking poisoned the ground and shit. Didn't tell anybody, didn't even like really give an excuse, and they're trying to act like, oh, it's fine, you can go back, and people are still dying. It's like, it just keeps getting worse. Because a lot of like governments just do not give a shit about the people. They give a shit about the money that they get. They give a shit about the people that dump money, and that's usually like some fuckhead. It's all about property and not people. Yo, very nice. Sea cucumber. Yeah, it's nice. At least kids will always have one meal. Yeah. I hope they get to have 3. Hey, Ben. Nice to see you all. But it's like, God, I truly don't get it, because it's like, we would all do so much better if we all had better standing, right? But they don't want that. And it's a lot of people wanting to be nepotist bastards, right? Just for the fact of like wanting to be like, I'm better than everyone, I know all the things, and I'm more known than anybody. Most is like actually like growing together as a society, because we're all like literally existing at the same time right now. We all are. It's kind of beautiful, but it's kind of sad how much we're like squandering this, you know? Me. Appreciate you, man. I still gotta like tell people I'm like live. I didn't tag people. It's so like dang, like you have to do it every time. Why can't it just do it telepathically with my mind? But you know, I hear you all a lot. Let me tag people really quick again. Talk and type all that much. I can do it a little bit, but then it's like I'll probably mess with my words and say what I'm typing. You know what I mean? Like, you ever do that? Dun, 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 dun. I hear your mind as we try to be another kind of person, don't you see? I didn't tag though. I pushed it in. Oh, thank you. I appreciate you, Fatal. I'm so bad about this. I might need to like put like Dino in the Discord just so it can like pop up without me having to like type it every time, because it is so like, oh my god, because you know, like I have multiple platforms you can tell by my bio if anybody would want to like add me or like talk with me about stuff, because you know, I get really like dang, because YouTube really got rid of that people being able to message each other thing, and I guess I kind of get it just because it's like having a separation, I guess, from people who stream and people who don't. But at the same time, it really made that gap of people like acting like they're different or better than others just for like streaming kind of shit, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of weird. Like, the energy is always kind of like fucked as fuck. You miss Carl bot? We can make a bot in there. Like, let me know what kind of bot you want to do, or like, is it like literally called Carl bot? Hey Veda, nice time. It's like, yeah, you caught me in a pretty chill time. And then like, holy heck, I just wish that people would be more mindful, because we really could have all the things, and it wouldn't be like genuine, you know? Like, why is it that nonsense? I think so. He angry. Alright, I'll definitely look it up, and we can like have like a bots area for the server, and we can do the whole thing, and it'll be cute, it'll be cool. Well, alright, so I can talk about the second one I was watching, for the Hank Hill one. It was kind of wild though, because it was about like, you know, Hank's dad. It's like a whole history about him being like a sergeant, being really in the military. He's really hardened, like to the point where he was so like hard on Hank, and he tried his best. And he still like has like a lot of love for his father, but his father doesn't really show like love. He shows like hyper masculinity in a nutshell, you know? It's interesting the way that like Hank Hill like puts forward how his dad moves around the world, you know, in my opinion. Like, because it was this whole thing about how Bobby wasn't doing his chores and stuff. He kept not, like, Hank would ask him to rake the leaves. He didn't really rake the leaves. He just kind of like messed around, and then didn't do it, and then he like walked into like the little rake, got hit by it, and he's like, oh, and he made like a like little skit, and Hank was like and then Bobby was like, can I take the rake with me? And Hank was like, no, and then like got him grounded, and then, like after he got grounded, Bobby was he was like literally being like just in his room kind of being Bobby, you know, kind of little, just doing his room things, and it kind of messed with Hank because it was like he got like a whetstone for Bobby to sharpen the tool that you use to like cut weeds or something. And he's like, this is a whetstone I got ever since he was a baby. I can't wait to see he's a man, you know. I'm gonna have him be like, hey, once you sharpen these and stuff, I get a good amount of time. I'll trust you to really cut the lawn with it, and you'll get used to it. And then Bobby, he put it on a stack of like not really balanced DVDs or something, or like games or something like that, and it fell and broke in half, and Hank was so sad. Angry. He didn't like do anything. He was just like, Bobby, and his face was like a grimace, and I was like, dang, bro, you were so sad about that, like, you know. But that was also like, that was how the rakes came in, because he said, you're gonna pay off that whetstone by getting the rakes and stuff, and then Bobby did that, and so he was just so like frustrated. And then he went to talk with his dad about it, and his dad had like this emphasis on, you're not going to be able to get to him, you know, you gotta, like, you can't, because Hank was like, I've been trying to explain responsibility to Bobby for years. And then Hank's dad was like, you can't explain responsibility, you have to pound it into them. And I'm like, dude, it's like, damn, it makes you like think about how Hank was growing up and how like that could have been a lot, just from like these kind of interactions that they have. And it's really like, fuck. It's also like weird because the dude's like 60, 80, something like that. Like, he got white hair, and he's with like someone like considerably fucking younger. Like, she looks like 20s, 30s, and I'm like, god dang, all of the check marks, you know, for this person. I don't know you, that's my purse. Yeah. that's Bobby. And he, then after he was like, hey, you gotta beat it down on him, then he ended up convincing Hank to send Bobby to, boot camp, basically, for a week. Like, at the same, place, like the same fort that he was at when he was a kid, learning how to, like, be a military man kind of person. He said, they broke me, it'll be like beautiful kind of thing. And then they sent Bobby, and Hank was so like worried for him because he didn't want to do that. He didn't want to put him through like unnecessary, like stressful situations, but it was so he didn't know what to do, and he wanted to implement responsibility to him. Then Bobby goes. But when they go there, you know, Bobby has these scary stories that the granddad says about it, in the sense of like, yeah, they don't even like really feed you. They just give you salt and some sludge or something before you go to bed. And it's like, then there's like this thing about, oh, the senior people that were here, they're just gonna raise you and like be so terrible that they're gonna beat you up and all this stuff. But like every time it was like, you know, after the food, they ended up giving them like a square, like full meal. And then after like the thing about how like seniors could treat them, you know, at night or whatever, because of how it had been when the granddad was in there, they like ended up just like kind of running in the bedroom, like clanging pots and pans for like 5 minutes and then left. It was pretty adorable, like, honestly. But then it was like really messed up in the sense of like, the granddad, he heard about what it would have been more cushy than he, like, I'm saying cushy because that's how he felt that it was, just because they weren't treating the kids like fucking fodder, right? Like people to abuse and tear down and like treat as if they're nothing on the ground, you know, all for this military identity. And he ended up walking up to the guy who was like running everything and was like, "I'm gonna fire you." And then he was like, "You think you're not?" And then he was like, "You're not gonna fire me. You're not even here." But then he ended up getting the phone, putting it to the guy, and it was like the person above him, like a sergeant or something, being like, "Yeah, you're fired." And I was just like, "Really?" And then like the guy was like, "Can I at least have my chair?" And then they said yes, and he ended up taking the chair out, and you like never see him again in the episode. It was just fucked. Like I was like, damn, like nobody even. And then the granddad ended up taking over it, and he ended up really trying to. I know, right? Like holy fuck. The granddad ended up trying to. Like he ended up running it. He was like ended up being sergeant. He like got on a horse and was like, "You maggots are gonna like get up at 400 hours." Like he looked at like a guy saying it was over, like the cushy whatever, right? And like one of the guys, like one of the kids in it, he ended up fainting because he looked at him real hard. And I was like, "Damn, yo, you gotta be like that to kids," you know? And then he's trying to like. And Bobby came in there at a point, was like, "Hey," and then the guy was like, "I'm not gonna give you. You really think you're gonna get special treatment, huh?" I'm not going. Well, you're right. And then Bobby's like, "Thanks. I'm gonna." Everyone was just wanting the internet back and our mattresses. Like this man took their fucking mattresses. As someone who has been to boot camp in 2011, I have the same thoughts. It's way too cushy these days. But they can't have mattresses. They can't have a full meal. Like, what the fuck? Like, funny part is that older vets probably thought my version of bush camp was too cushy. Exactly. Like, it's so, like, wild. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's like, there's a way to be mindful and make sure people are still like, strong, but without breaking down their entire fucking spirit, maybe. But then, the granddad was like, "Oh, I'm gonna give you special treatment. That means I'm gonna go my best way to like break you down as much as possible." This dude even said that love is hate. And I'm like, damn, how did you treat Hank Hill? Like, it kind of makes me mad because I'm like, I kind of like just want to pick him up and throw him and like be like, protect Hank Hill and Bobby. You know what I mean? Like, whenever he pops up in the fucking episodes. I heard they don't get screamed at anymore. Well, that's nice. I don't know. I hate people screaming at me. That flipped me out. Like, I don't know, it just pisses me off when people yell at me. I'll just get like pissed and leave. like fuck it. But honestly, I got flat feet. I ain't gonna be in the military. It's not gonna happen. Like, ever. It's not just that. I just don't think that I'd want to be like some government kind of person who has to do what they want all the time like that. I just would not work with me. Not gonna happen. I know myself. I was a tree hugging, screaming, and hand cutting grass. Holy fuck. But yeah, like, it's so wild because he literally tried his best to like break down Bobby, because he was like, first I can't remember the first thing, but he ended up like being like, well, everyone can't stand the ice or whatever. He ended up getting a block of ice and had Bobby sit on it for like hours or something. Like the sun changed, and Bobby was just like melted the ice, sat in a chair. And then the granddad was like, "What in the world?" And he was like, "Mom always said I was good for the winter," and patted his tum. It was so adorable. And then like then he ended up being like he showed him like this mess of like everyone's like last bits of food after they finish eating at the mess hall. It was really this really fucked with me. I was like, oh my god. And they put it all in a pile, in a tray. And then he was like, I'm gonna have you eat this backwash to know how it really feels. And then Bobby like started eating it. And then he kind of looked a little uncomfortable after a bit, but then he just leaned back and opened his like zipper. And his belt, it was like, it's, you know, he's like wider, I can eat more now. And the dude, he was like, after he was about to eat like something, he was like, you're done, and he threw it away. I was like, bro, what the fuck, you know? I don't think you can break that child. Oh yeah, I'm getting to it. And yeah, Bobby has a really great spirit. I appreciate him, like, so much as a person. Like, he's just such a fleshed out himself character. And it's really cool seeing how, like, Hank and everybody in the family, they end up learning something new with him. Or, like, revamping the way they think because of him. And I think that's really telling as, like, you know, the new generation comes to be, because more things come out, just from different perspectives, you know, as people that come in after all of the stuff that happened before. It's so interesting. And that's also, like, that's why I enjoy Hank Hill, because it's, like, just so many episodes. It's such, like, it's thoughtful, the way that they really feel like people. But yeah, and then like the third thing or whatever, dude got so pissed off with Bobby not really like getting the point he was trying to do or whatever. And then he ended up like putting him in the hole. And he was like, that had broken me and stuff. He had him in there for like 3 days or something. His friends even came to check on him, being like, hey, Bobby, are you okay? And then he, like, never even responded to the thing. You know, and they said, like, they shook their head and went back. And then, like, Hank ended up finding out that they ended up doing that. And then he ended up running over. And then he ended up opening the door for it. And then Bobby, like, he turns over to the light, kind of, like, squints and blinks a little bit and looks at him, and you can see the recognition, and he kind of smiled at like Hank. It's like, oh hey. You know, like, oh my god, that boy. And then he ended up coming out, and it was kind of interesting because you see like a zoom in and like, you know, somebody, I think it was either Hank or the granddad's name, like some days, because it zoomed too fast for me to like read it, but then it was like the other one, it was like Bobby Hill 3 days, like etched in the hole. I was like, wow. And then they ended up talking, like Hank and his granddad, and they were like, and the granddad was like, you know, I don't know what's up with this. And he's like, you see how you can't just break him? Like, that's what Hank said. And then they were talking, then Hank ended up being like, yeah, like, Bobby is mush. It's kind of wild, because you can't really, like, build up mush, but you can't really break it down either. It's like its own thing. And then the granddad laughed and said, you know, if he was in this war for like 3 days, they would have been over. And it was really interesting. Like, because it changed his perspective of Bobby in like that episode. Like, you kind of see it. But then Hank, he did a smile and was like, he didn't give me permission to speak. And then the guy, the granddad is like, yeah, you're right, that's insubordination, drop and give me 20. And then he just did it. I was like, Hank, that's kind of not great. I don't know, but they have like a really weird relationship, and it's like hypermasculinity is such a chore and detrimental to the way that we like even process how we have conversations, you know? Like, why can't we just be genuinely nice to each other? Whatever sex, gender, whatever we are, why can't we just be nice with each other, you know? I always see Naruto in Bobby. Yeah, okay, I see that. Just less yelly, but also more yelly at the same time somehow. Like, it depends on the situation. Like, and like talk no jutsu. Like, I get that. I gotta. Okay, now I, as somebody, has to make an edit of Bobby Hill as like Naruto. I might even end up doing it tonight just because you said it and you're fatal. So I gotta make it something that'd be fun. But yeah, you know, and so that's interesting. It's like kind of wild because it's like we all a lot of people probably know people just like that, right? It's so interesting. And then there was this third episode. Like, it was about how Bobby was wanting to sell like propane grills and stuff for Hank. And Hank's like, you know, his store that he works at. And Hank really had him start doing the basics. It was like, hey, so you have to learn the basics to actually understand what things are going on. So you can actually sell it, like, genuinely, instead of, like, just saying anything to people. Which is really fucking smart, in my opinion. Like, that's just the way you should do it. That's the genuine way. That's an in-depth. You will not be wrong in how you present the sell, you know, if you actually know what you're actually talking about. That's my commission. Yes, it's your commission. I'm gonna do it. But like, and yeah, and he was like, you had to make sure you clean the propane things right. I had to make sure things were calibrated right, and it was like the whole day. He'd go at it, and it was like one point Bobby was so tired, couldn't even make it to the end. Like, it was this point when he was like sitting at the dinner table, and he was so tired of like washing or cleaning the propane grill, or like the propane like gas thing, and because it's like you have to specifically go from top to bottom, or you could like make something drip or something. As Hank said, it was like some kind of quote could probably like get if you looked up this episode. But he was like sitting on the table. Well, not sitting on the table. He was sitting like at the table and was trying to reach the chicken to add to his dinner, and then he just couldn't get it because his arms were so tired, and he ended up being like. And then Hank was like, you know, that's how you got to do it. You're doing it right. You know, you're so tired and stuff and all this. And then Bobby was like, okay. And then he was like, just hunched over. I felt so bad for poor Bobby. Honestly, I was like, no. Like, he was hunched over. And he was just walking, like, dragged over to his room. And then like, as Hank is talking, like, look, he can barely make it to his room. And then like, Bobby, like, falls. He's like, he didn't even make it. But then he was like, I really think that he can really be a propane seller. I see something in him, as he told Peggy, like, at the table. And it was pretty sweet, but I'm also like, he had to do him like that. He had to, you know? And then Bobby ends up hearing that one of the guys who worked there never did all of the extra stuff, the extra mile of things, of like, you know, like what Hank did, whatever. It was like the guy with the cowboy hat, I think. And Bobby was like, well, why are you doing this? Why do I have to do this? And he like thought that Hank was just making him do his grunt work, as he told somebody. And then he went to go and he's kind of like shuffled a little bit and saw like there was somebody that needed a sale. Well, needed to have a salesperson. So he went over there and he sold something. And it went pretty well. Like, it was looking good. Like, it was a solid price kind of thing. And he did it, and then he was like, hey, like, my name's on the board. I got a dot on it. And he got a cookie. And then, like, Hank is like, no, Bobby, you have to do it right, you know? And Bobby's like, but I sold it, you know. And he's like, well, we'll do a face-off where I'll sell, well, we'll do, you know, like a sale-off to like show off his, how he could do it, even though he didn't do like the fundamentals. And Hank is like, you gotta do the fundamentals like the whole time, which is like, yeah, fair, you really should. That's how you actually like genuinely make a sale, and then you actually like tell the customer what they need to know. That's also the thing. And Bobby ended up making a bunch of different sales, but at the same time, he wasn't knowledgeable of what he was talking about. It was like, you could see him be like, oh, like, yeah, his this thing. I don't know nothing about the Heat, but hey, what about those Dallas Cowboys? You know, he was like stuff like that. You know, and then he ended up selling stuff to people, but then, and Hank didn't end up getting any sales. So Peggy even told him, like, these years are the most formative years of his life. So you gotta win this thing so you can really gain this respect, or he's never gonna listen to you again. And Hank was so distraught, y'all. I felt so bad. Hey, X-Men. Let me look at this closer. I'm not wearing my glasses. X-Men and Gaming. Thanks for stopping in and dropping a like. I hope you have a good day too. Like, yeah, it's awesome seeing you around. Thanks for listening. And if you know, ever have any suggestions or stuff about stuff I want to talk about, or however, let us know, you know? Or like, and also, what is your favorite color before you go? I like to ask people. Or if you go, you know, maybe you'll read this. Well, maybe you listen to this and like say it in the comments or something. That'd be cool. Yeah. And like, then, God, Hank was so distraught. And he was trying his best to try and get those sales. But then he ended up, you know, the most in charge person of the propane grill and stuff. Apparently they have like these betting games, and one of the guys, like Thorth something, I don't remember, Thorthganger, something like that. And the guy ended up betting Hank because he told Hank, like, you're not making any sales, like, so I can't like afford giving the other guy to him, so I'm going to give you to him, right? And, oh yeah, the event was, they had like a big sale event that was like, if they got enough, you know, the most sales, they could get like a big thing, like a dinner and all of that stuff. And Hank ended up being at the Thorth guy's place, and he was trying to, because the guy, he usually like wants people to lie or like just to say anything to get a sale. And there was a person coming in, and he was like trying to explain like something about the grill, but I guess it wasn't like a good enough grill for him to like be talking it up like that. And then when the guy looked away, he was like, this guy earned me for a bet, run. And then he ended up pointing her out to the exit. It was so funny. But then the guy was like, a jet ski like sail left or whatever. What happened? And Hank was like, you know, I may be able to sell propane backwards and forwards, but I just can't lie about it. You know, which is fair. He's an honest person. And I really appreciate that. Like, he always stuck to his morals, you know? Alright, it's old person time. I gotta get to bed, but it was super chill. I'll finish the stream tomorrow. That's cool. I'm trying so hard to like stream earlier. I'll do it. It'll end up working out eventually. And it's always nice seeing you, Fatal. Thanks for being around. I really appreciate it. And hey, you lasted like way longer than I thought you would, honestly. I know I like went a little later, but hey, it's been like about an hour now, so that's cool, and I appreciate you. I hope you have a good night. And yeah, so he was so like himself, and they ended up going back to Well, the thing was, Bobby, he ended up coming back to where Thorth was and telling Hank, like, hey, we need you back. Like, a bunch of stuff happened because all the customers he had told all those various things hadn't been, like, actually good. Like, they ended up, like, breaking stuff or, like, fucking with it. Or, like, being like, you don't know nothing about any of this. Like, what? It took me, like, so long to get this done when I should have gotten something that would have actually worked, you know? Which is fair. Like, I'd be mad about that kind of shit. But then, Bobby was trying to get help and was so, like, fucked. Because, like, the big head in charge guy, he was like, hey, I need help. And then the guy's like, I'm not good with conversation. If they meet me, yeah. And then he, like, walked away. And then the other guy with the hat, he was like, yeah, I don't know what to do. And he walked away. He was whatever about it, too. Because he didn't know nothing either. And that was why Bobby went off to get Hank, right? And then he went off to get Hank, and they came back with him. And then Hank ended up, like, he ended up, like, fixing everyone's problems. Like, he was literally like, oh, you got this going on, I can help you with that. You know, I'm glad that you're satisfied and stuff, because he actually knew what he was talking about, you know? And, man, Bobby was just looking at him like, wow. You know, like, he really looks up to him, you know? It was just like, you fucking go, Hank, you know, like, yeah. And then he ended up being like, there is this guy, like, at the beginning of the episode, I forgot to mention this, but there's a guy at the beginning of the episode that, he was explaining, like, a sale to, Bobby. Like, I'll explain what happened in the beginning of it, and then I'll come back to how it was at the end. But he was explaining to Bobby, because he gave, like, this brochure to this guy, who ended up, like, leaving with the information that Hank gave him. He was like, yeah, come back whenever you'd like, after you, like, really take in this information. And Bobby's like, how is that a sell? You had him leave. Like, you know, and that was why Bobby was so like, you can't even make sells. The only time you really made one, kind of, or you didn't really, because you told the guy to leave. That was why he ended up having those conclusions, you know? And then later on at the end of it, the guy who Bobby had given, not Bobby, but Hank had given the information to, he came in. And then the guy with the hat is like, I can get this. So the guy, like, walked around him and, like, went up to Hank and was like, you know, at first, all of the information I got just didn't make sense. But the more I looked into it, the more I, like, read into it, I started to really get it and I understood it all, you know? And then they cut to a scene where they're eating the dinner, you know, from the whole thing. And it's because that guy ended up needing 500 propane things, and Hank ended up getting all of the sales. He ended up getting the biggest sales. And so I just thought that was really cool, because it's like, you know, that's Hank Hill again, like, really having this in-depth, fleshed out experience to explain these morality questions that you could actually, like, ask yourself and think about, like, what you would do in these situations and how you would go about them and how you'd want to avoid that, right? And how, like, genuinely selling is way more important than just doing nothing. I mean, sometimes people won't come back, and sometimes they'll be kind of satisfied, but it is more satisfying really knowing what you're talking about and letting people get it, and then being genuinely happy with what you gave them, you know? And that's why I fucking love Hank Hill. You know? And yeah, it's been an hour. Man. I'll also talk about some other honorable mentions of the other videos I've talked about, and then I'll, like, be off, alright? But yeah, you know, that's why I fucking love Hank Hill, okay? And so there's this, like, thing with, like, an episode of Loud House that I was watching, and I really like how it really seems like they have genuine morals. Like, even the live action is pretty, like, dope. Because the Loud House one that I was watching today was, like, about, like, how this kid really believes in aliens. Like one of Lincoln's friends, he's the guy with the glasses and the kind of like floofed up reddish hair and freckles, a little bit short. And he was like saying, "Man, that sounds so good in there." I just kind of wanted to hear it for a bit. But yeah, like, the guy, he really believes in aliens. He has family members that are, like, totally, like, basically alien busters. You know, they've known lore for a while. He's talking about, like, how he's talked to aliens since he could talk, basically. And he wanted to make a party so everyone would be able to see this space, like they would be able to see aliens when he thought they were supposed to be there. And then he ended up having everybody be ready or whatever, but there was also this character that was a person in the school or something, and he was like trying to be like, oh, aliens aren't real. I only want to go because his mom has good cookies. I can't wait to tell him I sold you so. And I'm like, man, you're so fucking mean. What the fuck? Like, that was my face. But then it was like, are you sure you want to do this? And he was like, yeah, I'm so sure. And then they're like, yeah, we'll support you, bro. We'll do this. And they ended up having the party. And they were waiting for like 2 hours or something. One of their friends, he was supposed to play the French horn, but he's just like, you know, the whole time. Like, cannot breathe. Red face, everyone's like bored, they're ready to go, and the dude's about to say, I told you so, to him. He's like, I don't want everybody to leave. If they don't believe me, they're never gonna believe me again, right? And he ended up getting like a flashlight that had like a projection of alien ship on it. Like, you know, like the Batman symbol, but think alien, right? It was like green and stuff. And then like that symbol, he got his friend, you know, the guy who did like the French horn, he was like, he took him to the side and was like, hey, I need help. I don't want these things to go out of place. I want people to believe me. He's like, can you help me? And like, here's this flashlight, you can flash it for people so they can know what's going on. And then the dude does it, but then he kind of ends up doing it for a bit too long. At first he's like, zoo, 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 and everyone's like, and the dude's like, wow, there's an alien. And it was like, wow, and they're so surprised and all this stuff. But then the guy starts, you know, going for too long. He ends up dancing, doing all this stuff, and he's like, I'm giving him a show. And the guy who, you know, glasses, he's like, what are you doing? And then the dude's like, I'm giving them a show, you know, like, and they ended up fighting because the guy was like, you need to stop because I need this to stop. You're doing too much. You're gonna like suspect me and everything. And then they ended up like swiping it all the way down to be at like a specific place. But then they weren't able to see anything. And because of what he said, they were like worried because they were like, oh, so they're here and they're gonna like use us for like whatever they want. They're not coming in peace or whatever because of like the tales or whatever they said. And everyone left, and ended up being a huge scare across like the town about aliens. They even got the news about like, what are we gonna do about these aliens? And like people, they were like really scared. And he was like getting really concerned. He was wanting to tell his parents at first, but he didn't. And then it ended up being a whole thing where to try and like settle this, they tried to make their own makeshift aliens so they could like be like, we come in peace, you know. Like it was like 3 of the kids. I don't know which ones it was exactly. I know it was French Horn and Lincoln, but it was another character and I don't know. Oh, however, you know, and they got like 3 alien friends to be like, hey, we only wanted to be here for the guy's mom's cookies, you know, Glass's mom's cookies. And then they were about to leave, and then one of them hoisted up the fake alien ship, but it was too heavy and ended up crashing. And because it crashed, people were like, they don't want to live in peace, they want to hurt us. But then the guy was like, this has gone too far. I just want to tell you, everybody, that I made it up. It wasn't right, and I'm sorry. I just wanted you all to believe me. And then, like, the guy who was like, I want to tell you I told you so, whatever, came and was like, I told you so, and was so, like, rude. And then it was like, that guy who always wants to make a sale. God. It was like, you saw, like, an alien ship fly by, and it looked really real, and it was like, wow, there's aliens. He's like, look, I told y'all, I believed in aliens, and all of this stuff, right? And then, God, and then they have a offside to the guy who's always trying to make a sale, and he's like, well, if they believe in this, it's extra change for me. And I was like, my God, don't do that. But it was wholesome in a way, but it's just it was interesting how they went about it, like. But then there was this other one where it was like Lincoln was going through a lot. He had like little TMI. He had like a really bad butt pimple, and he had to get it lanced or something. And a lot of people made fun of him for it because he wore a diaper or something. It got to the point where he had to end up going to like the morning announcement news kind of thing. And it was interesting though, because he was like, it may be a whole thing, but everyone's got a whole thing. People get embarrassed by a bunch of different stuff. You can't really, like, it's me now, but it's whatever. I'm still going to be me. I'm still going to enjoy what I do. And that's okay, And that was for the live action of it. Like, the one I was talking to about before with the aliens was, like, the cartoon. But the live action, I remember, like, watching the episode. It was, like, the only episode I've watched for the live action, honestly. But I really liked how thoughtful it was. I really liked it. And usually Nickelodeon didn't do live actions, but Lighthouse was pretty good. And then I was going to talk about Monster High too. So Monster High, I fucking love the series. Every time it comes on, every like reiteration, it's just really cool to me, and I'm like such a werewolf personality character, right? Like, so I love stuff like that, like Halloween kind of stuff. And there's all like so many puns and all this stuff. I fucking enjoy it, right? And I think about this episode I watched another day, and it was like, one of them was the Frankenstein girl. You know what I'm talking about? Like, she had, like, a dog dragon type animal, like a pet. And they came to find out, they saw that it was, like, a great dragon migration kind of thing. And the dragon wanted to go, but then they found out it would be, like, 3 months or something like that. And then, when the dragon was about to, like, say, like, I really want to do this or something, the Frankenstein girl, she ended up being like, I would be so sad if you left though, like, I wouldn't know how to do it myself, it would just break my heart to see you gone for so long. And the dog got kind of droopy, like, like when dogs are like kind of sad and like wanting to do something, and you could see his little cute eyes, and it was just, man, like, you felt bad for that little dog dragon. And they were like the group of characters are like, well, hey, since I'm not trying to go because of all of this, what if we try and like do things that could like make you happy, like to, have you like forget about it. And they literally go through every single possible thing they could do over at the Monster High and all that. But honestly, as they went on, the dog got droopier and droopier, and ended up even going on the floor, even having his wings, his tail, all of it. It's like a full-fledged droop. And she's like, I've never seen you this droopy before. And then she realizes with this that it was like the dog trying to hide how much it wanted to do something for her benefit. And she ended up being like, I love you. I don't want you to hurt for my sake or anything. I don't want to have you hurt at all. You should be able to go because you want to go, and I'll be okay. And it was so precious. It was so beautiful. Like, and honestly, Monster High always has nice colors across the whole thing. And I really enjoyed it. I really fucking enjoyed it. That episode. And then, like, even the live action for that one, too, is lit as hell. Like, litter than hell. I really like the way that they do it colors and have like genuine cast members to go across it and stuff. It felt really nice. You know? Like it felt like really like cool how they would have like whole stories and backgrounds to get to one spot, but they also like flesh out the characters enough to like fit these archetypes of you know, the characters that they are or are based off of, whether it's a pun or like the actual Frankenstein monster, or, like however. I really like that. Like I love the thought put into how like every character in Monster High. It's so interesting. Like, even the principal has her head like fall off, but like you know, like headless horseman kind of vibes. But it's like they always have these gags and skits surrounding like her head falling off when like shaky things happen or like there's this whole like thing and stuff. You know, and it's just kind of like it's goofy, but it makes sense because they all like have the bills they fit. They all have their like ways they are on the likes, dislikes, and advantages, disadvantages, and like weaknesses, and they're actively thought of the entire time. It's interesting to me, and like I vibe with it. I think that was probably like all the ones I wanted to talk about, yeah? But yeah, thanks for listening all. If you go in the comments, let me know what you think about what I was talking about. But also, I really think that there can be so much better written things, there can be so much better done things that is genuine, that's full and not just like filler. You know what I mean? It's not just like some trash to have people watch. There's a lot of different stuff. I'm an archivist. I have like a bunch of like videos and things that I like to watch because it's just interesting and I really enjoy film and I love finding things that actually interest me, that make me think about them, that make me enjoy the fact or appreciate the fact that I consume the media and I don't feel like I wasted my time. You know? Like, I think about that a lot. And it's just so interesting to me, but it's also like, I don't think people understand how detrimental it is to constantly, like, shovel brain rot or into your, like, mind. Like, we process what we have, what we gather, what we consume affects us. You are what you eat. You are what you see. You are what you consume in any capacity. You know, you get what I mean? I really like this sound. It's so vibey. Future pop. This is on Restream if y'all want to check it out. I haven't played it much. I usually do the other ones, but I wanted to try it. I vibe with it. And like, yeah, you know. And honestly, I have so many playlists of like so many things. Like if y'all can see on my YouTube, it's just a bunch of things across like anything I've ever seen or thought of across the years, because I've archived before I even made content, like 2020, you know? Well, really like published content. I made some stuff around like 2019, but I didn't really like start making videos until like 2020, like specifically. And it's pretty wild that like the birthday of my channel was like 9, like came by like a bit earlier. Last month, yeah. I love it though, like, things keep going, we can still keep creating. I want to really start doing film, and honestly, I want to make film with people. If y'all want to collab or want to like create with me, or like want to like really make a story to make an actual movie kind of thing, tell me, let me know. My socials are in my bio. I want to create, and I want to help make genuine, like, I want to make creation genuinely accessible for people to be able to harness and find their own sound with. You know, I even do classes about how I create too. Love so much, you know. And I think that things can really be better, and we can really have a good time, like just enjoying things without it being smeared by nonsense. And that was kind of why I wanted to talk about these things, because like, there's so much out there, and there's so much that can be, and we don't have to like just be whatever about what we consume or what we are, or how we are, or what people who make the things do, you know? And I mean, y'all saw my video about how I thought about people and separating art from the artists. Y'all, you know? But hey, be safe and all, okay? I know that things are a lot, and the misinformation campaigns are trying their best to try and like get us to all go along with their nonsense, but it doesn't and never had to be like any of that. And we deserve way better than what they're trying to sell us, you know? And there is genuine good stuff out there. You just gotta find it. And I mean, hey, I have a lot of stuff you can find like in my archives playlist. I'll even make videos about all the stuff I think about. I might get the audios and like clip them and like add some nice background for it. I really like the music a lot. Maybe I'll put it on TikTok. But yeah, wishing well always. Be safe. Thanks for listening. And you know, if you're playing it back and stuff, I appreciate you so much. Comment, let me know what y'all think. Yeah, and also, oh, I forgot to even say, like, if you like to support me in my work, Cash App, Venmo, like Ko-Fi, and Patreon, all in under my avatar thing. I have gotten, my cat got kittens. She was just pregnant, like, I mean, not just pregnant, she just had him like a couple days ago, kind of thing. I got him checked up also. I meant to mention that. Well, hey, here's an update. I got him checked up, pretty good. None of the kittens have any issues. The queen, she had like a sinus thing and ingrown nail, but they ended up cutting it pretty good. And I got like a medicine for the sinus stuff because it's been a minute and she's always had like issues with breathing a bit. I'm pretty sure it has a deviated septum like me. And I'm glad I got to do that for. I've been kind of worried for a minute, but I hadn't had like all the money to get together until like recently, you know? And please commission me so I can help her and help myself and like give y'all like nicer, smoother streams and all that. Yeah. Thanks for listening. Be safe and all. I love this music.